All right, good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday morning here in Ohio. I'm not sure, is it nice down there in Texas, getting warm?
Beautiful, beautiful,
All
except the
right,
pollen. Geez.
all right. And of course, the weekends are even better when you add 4 straight green days going into the weekend. That really makes your grass grow. Um, great market week last week after, a lot of volatility the previous few weeks. So we hope to keep that going. Today's topic's going to talk about Meta and really more AI, although Meta mentions it, because some of the earnings are coming out this week. Corey's going to dive into Google and then the possibility for a V-shaped recovery from the recent drop down. So as we get started, this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything that you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Corey's alone. So let's get into this. Saw this article, Meta AI. It's kind of interesting because Meta, I always think of Meta as Facebook, is really what their original name was. And I think of Facebook as social media. And I don't really necessarily think of social media in AI. I know there's certainly ties, and AI is used to feed you the content that you want to see. But Meta's really hyping this, and I see this Zuckerberg wants to make Meta the market leader in artificial intelligence. And I would just say that, he's probably going to stand in line because I think everybody wants to make their company the market leader in artificial intelligence. We hear it everywhere. There's companies that have AI in their names now. If you came out with earnings, it doesn't matter if you're waste management, you got to have some AI in there. That's just like that's the new um, shiny object that people talk about. 3 years ago it was blockchain. Everybody mentioned blockchain, and it goes on. And 3 years from now it'll probably be quantum computing. Yeah, go Rigetti. Anyways, so he brings this out, and then there's another article I really was interested in, which is more on AI, and it comes out as to avoid coworker judgment, but people are using AI more than just for business. They're actually being friends with their AI. And there's been movies about this. I haven't seen them all, but where AI becomes like your companion, your friend. And they're also saying that in this one, it's like my coworker may judge me if I ask a stupid or a question, but the AI will never judge me. Therefore, I'm going to go to AI. Um, and the concern with this is people may start to use AI more and more to stand in for the human connection. And that might not be a healthy thing to do. I don't know. I can't even think of all the places this could go. Um, so, anyways, having kids and they're going to be raised in this AI world. If we start to count on AI as our main connections at work over people, where do we go in society? I mean, do we eventually, we're just talking to the computer all day, and Corey, it'll be instead of me and Corey, it'll be me and my AI friend, Corey AI guy, doing the show. So,
Core eye.
anyways, Corey, there you go. So, anyways, I see these articles. Obviously, as investors and managing money, we are staying on top of the AI trend. And when AI is used to make businesses run more efficiently, we love that. Lowers costs, raises productivity. But there's more to AI than we think. And obviously, we want to look at companies that take advantage of that. Things like NVIDIA that always sells AI chips. Um, so, and then last, I just want to kind of say that this is a big earnings week. So I'm just showing the earnings calendar. And so what we'll have is on Wednesday after close, Microsoft and Meta, who I just mentioned, come out with earnings. Those are two big ones. Coke is in there as well. And then on Thursday, we got Amazon and Apple. So we got some big companies coming out this week with earnings, and we'll see how they're doing after, all the tariff concerns that still are out there. But we'll see what they mention about tariffs and how that's going to impact them, especially Apple. I'm very interested to hear. Microsoft, Meta, Amazon are more software based. I know they all have hardware pieces to it, but Apple is they have a lot of hardware, a lot of impact from China. So it'll be very interesting to see what Apple has in their earnings this week. So with that, one of the earnings that did come out last week, and that Corey's going to talk about, is Google. So I'll turn it over to him.
Yeah, Google had some great earnings last week. Let's break it down just a little bit. So if you were a business and you had revenue of 80 billion last year and 90 billion this year in this quarter, not an annual revenue number, a quarterly revenue number, you'd probably be feeling pretty good. Google is a company that's sort of in the bad crosshairs of AI. They're investing heavily in AI, but there's a fear that AI is disrupting their core search business. Before I forget, they did highlight in their earnings call that they've got over 1.5 billion people using what they call the AI overlay on their Google search product. So they do have AI integrated, and they've got 1.5 billion people using that each month, I think. Okay, so obviously revenue is fine. That's what people have been worried about, is Google's revenue going to take a hit because of AI? What about beyond their revenue? And when I say AI, the fear is like ChatGPT, competitors, things like that. Beyond revenue, were they able to make any money? Well, operating income went from 25 billion to 30 billion, and the margins increased. So pretty dramatic, impressive number there. And then you can see revenue by segment. Now that bright red there on the left, $50 billion of revenue. That is the core search business. That's still their cash cow. That's still making up more than half of their quarterly revenue. You can see YouTube grew nicely, double digits, and then subscriptions, platform, and devices grew double digits as well. So now devices, Mike, I always forget, but they've got Android, huh?
Man. I don't know. Is that such a phone? I've heard, all my friends prefer the blue dots, and those of you that still have the green. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding you. But yeah, Android is, and it's interesting as you show this, because they're worried about search taking over, but on the same sense, YouTube is attacking Netflix and Amazon Prime and any other TV. Like, I think younger generations, my kids for sure, YouTube is a preference over those other things. So all these companies are battling.
I think most of YouTube's watch time is on TV now. People watch it on their TV. So you're right. It is a direct competitor there. But here's the fear. This is why I think the stock is down today. And they had amazing earnings. Stock's trading dirt cheap. But so they've got their Google Gemini product. I am a user of the product. I've tested it. It's not all the way there yet. I'll say that. But you can see their monthly active users have gotten up to 27 million. And it's definitely not an exponential line there. But ChatGPT, you can see month over month over month, the adoption is just dramatic. Do you have a favorite, Mike?
ChatGPT.
Oh, ChatGPT.
So Mike, I use ChatGPT all the time. So that's my default. It's not my default search. It's still Google. And I have noticed that when I search for something in Google, it uses an AI to build the top of the response.
That's
like
on
overlay. A question. That's the overlay. So I appreciate that. But love ChatGPT. I mean, it's kind of it's just like Facebook and some of these other ones. The first to market, the first one to get in there gets your habit. And then I am sure that ChatGPT has some great competitors, but it's kind of like I'm used to using it now. I'll try other ones and I'm open to trying, but it's almost like once you get kind of used to something, you like it. So.
I certainly am familiar with all of them. I've tried all of them, and they're very impressive, including Google Search. I still use Google Search for things if I'm looking
Hmm.
for locations or facts or certain websites. If I'm trying to get to a website, I'll use Google Search for that. So I think they both have a place. I think, and I forget where I heard this theory, but I think the broader search kind of space is growing. People are
Hmm.
searching things that they never would have searched before because of the AI stuff. And so you're getting more search volumes just in general. Okay, leaving off with some good news. The folks over at All Star Charts and Steve Straza, so their chief market strategist there, he's looking at some prior downturns in the stock market, and he's thinking that, you cannot rule out a V-shaped bottom here. So you can't rule out a V-shaped bottom. Is that what we're in? I mean, we're on day 5 of green days if the market's still green right now. And once you get that momentum going, they call it breadth thrusts too, depending on what you're studying specifically. But it's not out of the realm of possibility that we rip right back to new highs. So anyway, Mike, I just want to put that out there. The V-shaped recovery, it's possible.
I like it. I like it. And I know there's a lot of data that says, when you have that big drop, like you can see in Corey's chart there, you don't have to bring it back up again, but you can see the big drop, that a lot of times that gets it out of the system and everybody's like, okay, now I'm ready to buy again. I got some stuff on sale. I feel good about that. Now I bought some stuff on sale. The market starts going up. Keep in mind that the market's always 6 months ahead of what's really happening in the economy. Are we, could we be in a recession? We could be right now. We could have a quarter over quarter, decline. But the market's looking 6 months from now when we would come out. Would it be a very light recession? Yeah, probably. Would the Fed, if we go into recession, would the Fed cut some rates to help? Probably. Even no matter what happens between Trump and Powell, So the market's looking ahead, and I know that day to day we'll see what happens this summer, the second quarter here, with whether GDP stays positive. So I love V-shaped recoveries. Let's keep those
Hey.
go. Lot better than the U's. So but with that, I'm sure the earnings that come out later this week will be very interesting. So probably on Thursday and Friday show, we'll cover the earnings of those, 4 of the Mag 7. With that, thanks everybody. Have a good one. Bye.